Okay, before we get started, I do want to introduce Ben Poster. Ben's been with us since June. He's our new stormwater program coordinator, and we've got the annual reports getting presented today, so he's going to give a brief presentation of that. And figured it'd be a good chance for you guys to meet him.
Good.
How you doing?
Glad to have you, Ben.
Thank you, man.
Consent agenda. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of the minutes of the meeting of September 20th, 2020.
Okay, a second.
Roger.
John. I'm gonna need a second on that, John.
Second.
Thank you. Okay,
Roger just joined Zoom.
oh, goodies. Hi, Roger.
Roger's automatically
Connecting audio.
muted.
Okay, so, go ahead and roll call for the consent agenda.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Tom,
He's not on fully in yet.
doesn't have audio. Mike Parsons,
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, the first thing we have is resolution 2332, schedules for sanitary sewer charges and Gold Hill.
Okay, so this is the rate resolution that would go into effect with Gold Hill with the annexation. The resolution is a lie because the County Board of Commissioners has not yet confirmed the annexation. It hasn't been on their agenda yet, so I'm hoping next week they'll have it. They've got all the information and I've talked to their clerk about, they don't have, as far as I know, they don't need anything else, they just need to put it on their agenda.
Okay.
So we could go ahead and approve that, just that very first whereas is incorrect, and we could correct that. Or
Or we can just wait and correct it.
we could wait, so the rates are supposed to go into effect the 1st of November. We would assume responsibility for billing, so.
Okay,
We could approve it subject to the approval of Jackson County.
Yeah,
that's what
That
we're
would
gonna
take
have
care of
to
it
do.
at this meeting and not wait till the
Yeah.
next meeting.
that would be the best way to go on that. And so the rates that are in here, those are the rates that we agreed to back in April when we did the annexation agreement. And the agreement is that we would establish those rates and we would agree to hold those firm for a period of 2 years. And I have no reservations about that. That's not how I call this thing kind of trouble.
Any other discussion on this? John, do you have any questions?
No, I think we can make the approval contingent on Jackson County approving it, can we not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Do we need to change the language at all to affect that?
Just add that part on the end, subject to approval. That should cover it.
Okay,
So I need a motion then, please.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2332 as presented, subject to approval of Jackson County.
second.
All right. Hi, Roger. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Tom,
Yes.
Mike Parsons,
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Okay. So resolution 2332 has been approved, subject to getting the okay from Jackson County. Now, resolution 2333, providing assistance for the city of Talent for the Cameron Springs public restrooms.
yeah, this is kind of a formality, because last month we approved providing assistance, but I wanted to get that as a resolution. I think we've already issued the permit for that, so that's well underway. But this is a thing that we've done, like I said, for all the cities that are within our jurisdiction. Whenever they're building public restrooms for parks, we have agreed to waive, or not waive, pay the SDCs on their behalf, and we get a little plaque stuck on the wall for that. So.
Cool. Okey dokey, I need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2333 providing assistance for the city of Talent for Cameron Springs public restrooms as presented.
second,
Thank you. That was Roger. Now, roll call please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Cole,
yes,
Parsons,
Yes.
John Clinton.
yes,
Okay, resolution 2333 has been approved. Now, resolution 2334, personnel policy update.
Okay, I think this is mostly some house cleaning issues on our personnel policies. Something that we try to do every October. We're not always, don't always get that done, but I've got 4 minor changes, I think. The first one would be to add some language about out-of-class pay. And this was language that was in our union contract. When the union decertified in 2017, it was our intent to take all the provisions of the union contract and incorporate that into our personnel policies. This is something that apparently we missed. And basically, if we have an employee that we want them to work in a different position, at a higher, that's a higher class of a position, we would pay them a 5% premium for the hours that they work on that. And typically this would come into play when we take someone from the collections department and put them out at the treatment plant is really the main place that would happen. There's probably some other scenarios where it could have it go, but yeah, when Carol's acting as manager, it applies as well. So that I think is that was an oversight that I made back in 2017 when we tried to kind of clean it up after the union decertified. The next one is very similar. It addresses when we assign people to work at night. We never had that addressed in the union contract, but it makes a lot of sense. We don't do it very often, but every now and then we have reasons like if we have to TV Pine Street and Central Point, for instance, we're not going to do that in the daytime. We're going to go at night and do that. So Shane schedules the guys a month in advance or so and says, okay, these nights you're going to have to work. And so we think that's appropriate that when you're disrupting someone's life like that, it's appropriate to give that 5% premium there. The next one, section 591, is regarding leave without pay. And our policies right now don't allow a person to take leave without pay unless they've exhausted all of their other paid leave. And I guess there's some logic to that said, you don't want people massing up, lots of paid leave and then just taking time off, and I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. But anyway, I'm not really planning to change that part of it, but with the new paid leave Oregon law, everyone has short-term disability benefits available to them if they have a certain medical, it's primarily for medical things. And they are entitled to that benefit. And so, for instance, if I had to go in for surgery, whatever it was, and I had to take a week off from that, I would be eligible to collect on that paid leave Oregon benefit. But under our current policy, I would be eligible for that, and I would also be required to use my own paid leave. So right now our policies require someone to double dip. And so this kind of removes that obligation, since you don't have to use your accrued leave if you're taking leave that's covered under the paid leave Oregon law. So
That makes sense.
it doesn't prevent if someone wants to double dip on that, they certainly are, they can do that, but they're not required to with this change.
So it gives them a choice.
Yes.
And
And then the last one is regarding post-accident drug testing. And our current policy on post-accident drug testing says that if there's any kind of an accident, the driver has to go in for a drug screen. And that's kind of strict, and it takes a lot of time. It's kind of disruptive, and we've had instances where, our truck gets rear-ended, kind of going for a direction, something like that. So what I'm doing here, what I'd like to do is to mirror what the federal regulations are for CDL drivers. Because that's kind of what our guide, how we structure all of our driving policies. And so basically, under the federal regulations for commercial driver's licenses, it's only in pretty serious accidents that they require post-accident trucks. The conditions are laid out there. Basically, if there's a fatality, no matter what, then that requires the drug screen. If our driver is cited as at fault, and there's vehicles are damaged so badly they need to be towed, or a person is injured and needs medical attention, then those would require the post-accident drug screen. But anything else, would not, unless we still have the reasonable suspicion regulations that if we have a reason to suspect that a person is impaired, we can require testing on that. But we don't have a whole lot of accidents, but the most recent one right out here, a woman tried to pass us on the right, got squished. In no way there's any reason to suspect that our driver was in any way, impaired for that.
Just to be clear, the vehicle got damaged, she didn't.
Okay.
She didn't get squished.
So, but it takes a couple hours to send somebody down, and you gotta send two people because you can't have the person driving,
Yeah.
and it doesn't make sense. So that's another one I want to get cleaned up there. Everything else, there's no changes proposed.
Okay, and that pretty much gets it all cleaned up, do you think, Carl?
Well, one of the things we just cleaned up was something like 6 years ago, so I'm gonna say everything I know of.
Okay, we'll go with that. That sounds good. Okay, and, John, go ahead.
So Carl, the last set of policy changes you wanted to do, you just pulled that right out of 49 CFR.
Yes.
Okay, and it tracks that language.
I think I might have changed. Well, they don't use district driver. So I changed it to district driver. And
Okay.
I might have tweaked a little bit, but it's the same conditions.
Okay, because I'm looking at it right now. I haven't had a chance to pore over it, but there is a little bit in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, if it tracks it, that's fine. Or substantially tracks it.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I would say it.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'll, looking for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 23-34 as presented.
Second,
Thank you, John. All right, roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Tom,
yes,
Mike Parsons,
Yes.
John Quinn.
yes.
Okay. Resolution 2334 has been approved. And franchise fee agreement.
Okay, this is part of Gold Hill again. And I kind of, in my manager's report, I gave a little bit of a background on how franchise fees came to be part of our world. But it's something in general we've been opposed to, but when they were first imposed on us by the city of Phoenix, we challenged it in court and we lost at the circuit court and we lost at the appellate court and we lost in the Supreme Court. So we've accepted that as the reality. But so this agreement, it's very similar to ones we have with City of Shady Cove, City of Eagle Point, and City of Central Point. And basically it requires us to return to the city a percentage of our revenue that we collect within the city. In this case, it's 5% for Gold Hill. In exchange, we don't have to pay for road permits if we have to do a street cut or something like that. That we don't have to pay that. And we have permission to take water out of their hydrants, but we have to pay for the water we take. So, but that's about the extent of it. It's kind of a I mean, it's basically a tax that the city has for use of the right of way. And it's really common with other utilities with like Avista and power companies and things like that. That's kind of how they're all set up. But, you know, since Phoenix kind of, you know, broke through that wall that, you know, a lot of the cities have decided that they're going to have to collect that on us as well. I've had this reviewed. Joe Kellerman's been involved in developing this and been back and forth with the city's attorneys a couple times. So he's comfortable with it as it stands right now. And we're comfortable with it. And that 5% franchise fee is factored into the rates that we are currently charging in Gold Hill.
Anyone have any questions?
And one more thing, supposedly this went to their council last night, but I haven't contacted for
Okay, you haven't heard anything, okay. So I need a motion, I need a motion for franchise free agreement.
I move to approve the franchise fee agreement as presented. Subject to Gold Hill.
Second,
John seconded it. Okay. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Tom,
Yes.
Mike Parsons,
Yes.
John Quinn.
yes,
Okay, project updates.
Right. I'm gonna hit the, any of these that have changes on them, just so I can some time to do this presentation. So Antelope Road rehab, you guys have been hearing about this for quite some time. We are now, the design is complete and the contract documents they just need to be compiled, just in case we, you know, run into anything. Put the correct dates in there for, you know, bidding, you know, project completion, that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I believe Brenda and Carl can confirm this, but we're just waiting on load docs, right?
That is correct.
Right. So that was a pretty hefty project. It's gonna be a fun one. And I guess another thing to note is dovetailing into the night work. The county required us to do night work out here on Vilas, and that was gonna be one of those. They were gonna allow us to do day work in the center lane, but for like 6 hours. Like, there's no way you're gonna set a manhole and get it completed in that amount of time. So we met with them and we talked them into allowing us to work full day shifts. So that was a, you know, our inspector was sweating that one.
Good negotiation.
We'll see. I don't know. I think they already did. So, the ODOT Highway 99 corridor rehab, we've got the major relocations in that area completed. We have one section of main that needs to be shifted back in the Harley Davidson parking lot and multiple manhole adjustments. So we've got that basically nailed at this point. It's not quite done, but it's pretty damn close. Just touched on Vilas. Got the final payment noted there, as well as the original bid amount versus the final contract costs. Came right in there, not too bad as far as overages go. Section 2 force main. I can't remember. I think I had this on my report that Carl talked about last month, but we're talking about replacing the entire force main for this project. It's, you know, I believe it's 3,000 feet or so, where we're going to upgrade it from 4-inch to 6-inch. And it's also class 160 pipe, which is extremely brittle. It's kind of a liability, and it's, you know, probably a good thing to get rid of.
So it's a future upgrade thing.
It's kind of a little bit of both. We don't trust that class 160 pipe. I mean, if you just breathe on it, it cracks, and you just keep chasing it back to try to repair it.
Yeah.
But we also would like, for some reason, a portion of the force main is 4-inch and a portion of it's 6-inch. And nobody really knows why. It's just kind of weird. And it should all be 6-inch. So what we're gonna do is just upgrade the material and upsize the pipe to 6-inch. So,
Cool.
but that one, our construction crew is probably gonna do that one. And they've got some main line under their belt now. They've got a pretty new construction crew, but with a couple new guys, and then our inspectors were helping them out too. But they're pretty excited to do a big long run of pipe with no services in the dry, meaning no sewer running through it on the
Well,
side
that's
of the road.
Good
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, this year CIPP package, kind of similar to Violas. We've got final payment and then final costs right there. Lagoons, those are being pretty quiet. Shane's guys are doing final tweaks on that. First cell is full and we're slowly filling the other two. Cummins Stormwater Facility, this is now at the same stage as Antelope. So plans are complete, contracts basically complete, we need to pilot, and we're waiting on approval from the funding DEQ to get the grant funding for this one. So Cummins Stormwater Facility, that was going to go in with the 99 improvements. SCADA and UV disinfection, there hasn't been any real movement on either one of these. I believe they plan on doing the SCADA work next year, and the UV disinfection, we're just waiting for plans.
Yeah, we are, they've got a lot of the screens ready, they want us to be with them in the next couple of weeks, they have new screens are up with Michael.
Oh, cool.
That is making progress.
Nice. So the last one I threw on here, this project is actually, I-005 is our regional flow monitoring equipment upgrade. It's been on our capital for a while, and we hit kind of the point where we just need to jump on this and get it done. The software that we use, Shane can speak to this probably better than anybody. It's out of date and it's no longer supported. And you have a special computer that we have to like keep and transfer everything over to Excel, and it's a kind of a big lift every month to get all that data upgraded and in a usable format. So we're actually moving towards a third-party cloud-hosted software through Hawk Equipment, and it's now it's owned by a different conglomerate. Claros is the software, and it's now been bought. The parent company is now different than Hawk. But
That's what's so interesting about a lot of these hardware, software companies, is it's multiply layered,
oh yeah,
because you've got all these different players that do these different things, which is confusing sometimes if you have a question or if you have a problem.
or if you're trying to buy the equipment direct from the manufacturer,
Yeah.
and he's telling you, no, you have to talk to this distributor who's not even part of our company,
Yeah,
and you can't get a hold of that.
yeah.
Which has been,
It's kind of it's not cool,
no,
but I don't think there's a way around it. That's the way things are.
right, yeah. But one good thing about this, or it's multiple good things about this, is it's all online. So we log in, anybody can use it. We can pull the data really easily. It's a kind of a gushy, nice interface. You can see nice colors and graphs and
Cool,
tables.
colors and yeah.
Yeah, you can geek out on it if you really want to. I'll give you a login if you want. But it's gonna be pretty good. Dashin and TJ, Dashin's one of our techs, and TJ is our flow monitoring specialist, what's his actual title? It's collection system specialist? Operations specialist, yeah. So he runs all of our pump stations. He's our pump station guru. They've been doing the heavy lifting on this. So,
Okay, if they're happy, they understand what the heck's going on, and they know
yeah,
they've got to get the secret handshake to make sure they can get all the right people on.
yeah, that's kind of, they've been doing a good job, and they did it in a pretty reasonable time.
Like we should put that.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's sums it up for me.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Any questions for Nick? Okie dokie. Now, MS fourth annual report.
Yeah, and for benefit of Roger, who came in a little late, just to introduce Ben Poster is our stormwater program coordinator, and our annual report is due, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity for you guys to meet Ben and for him to give a presentation on MS4 program.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ben, happy to be here. I can introduce myself here as well. Just coming out of 20 years in the Marine Corps. Really happy with the job. I really like being here. And
I like having you here, I'm sure.
for the outstations, I do got a PowerPoint up. Do you see that screen? Is it coming through okay?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So it is that time of year, we're doing the MS4 annual report. It is included in the packet that was sent out. If you did not get to it, great, I will cover everything right here anyway. So, just give you an executive summary and give you some of the highlights. We will start off a little bit with permit background. I know a lot of you are familiar, but just make sure we got the highlights there. We'll go into implementation status and schedule. And then each control measure, we have 6 of them. You're gonna see a slide that's gonna have the permit requirements for the permit term and the annual, our status, and then I'll just kind of pick out some of the more significant parts of that. And at any time, if I am going too slow and you want me to speed up, let me know. If you got questions, go ahead and pause me, or otherwise I'll ask a question at the end as well. So MPDES MS4 Phase 2 permit, the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. It was kind of put in place by the Clean Water Act in 1972. By the time they got around to issuing the Phase 2 permits, which is the smaller side of those, is 2007 when we actually got ours. So within that, so we are a large community within a small MS4. We hold the permit for unincorporated Jackson County, Talent, and Phoenix, and we're charged as the sole permit holder with developing and implementing the stormwater management program within the guidelines of that permit. So the permit itself broken down into 6 parts. You see them here. Bottom line up front, through implementation. So this is year 4 or 5 of this current iteration of the permit. At this time, we are complete with all the permit term requirements, and we are complete with all the annual, the implementation requirements and the annual requirements. Public education outreach. This is kind of our weapon within the community to put some of these values. You know, they can't do something about something they don't know about. The requirements of the actual permit are pretty low. They have target audiences. We need to hit each of those target audiences 1 time in the permit term, so in a 5-year term, and then twice for the construction site operators. This year alone, we have 15 events. We had 15 events. So we hit all those target audiences just this year, to include construction site operators 4 times. Beyond our kind of regular tabling events and the monthly mailers we send out, the 2 big pushes we have for public education is our Salmon Watch program, which we're kind of in the throes of right now, working with the schools out in Creek, and then also the ESC inspector class. So only one of its type approved by DEQ, where the construction site inspectors for erosion actually meet the people that are going to be inspecting their site. And we kind of let them know exactly what we expect in our MS4. For public involvement participation, similar to education, except now instead of just pushing information, we're looking for the public getting involved in policy development and stewardship. So part of this, we do need to have a website. We do have an active website. We have all of our documents, education. We have a complaint system on there. We also have GIS and public-facing GIS capabilities. So well within the requirement there. For our policy development involving the public, we have run a stormwater advisory team since 2004. The whole point of that team is developing the stormwater management program, and then taking the public's opinion and their voice. They get a say there of how they are actually going to be regulated within the guidelines of the permit. Stewardship, we do two programs a year. Both of them are with Bear Creek Stewards. We host cleanup sites. Our last one was September 16th. We get the community out there and clean up some of these camps and clean up some of the areas around Bear Creek. And we're also involved in various groups that influence decision making. Illicit discharge and elimination, no matter what we do, there's always going to be some bad actors. In this area, fortunately, most of the illicit discharge we find is lack of knowledge, not willful negligence. So we do have a program. The big deliverable of this program from the permit side is dry weather sampling. So you have to sample we have to sample 20% of your outfalls every year. We are well above that. We did almost 44% this year alone. And while being well ahead of that, we actually see most of the illicit discharge we find is through community complaints and through our inspectors being out there every day. So our complaints this year, we had 10 complaints that came in that were stormwater specific. All of them were responded to same day. Of those, 4 resulted in an investigation, and so 2 of those were erosion related, 2 of those were actual illicit discharges that we found and eliminated.
But just, I can highlight one point there, if you look at the report, the answer for number 64 is one I did want to highlight, and it kind of spells out, Ben mentioned that there was 4 that required an investigation. And one of the questions they ask in the report is how long on average did it take? Well, 3 of the 4 were taken care of in a single day. The 4th one took a lot longer, and it's explained in great detail here how rather than just charge in and try to go after the person, they spent a lot of time trying to figure out what exactly was happening and making sure they had all the information they needed before they approached the property owner. And they were able to do that because it wasn't a time where it wasn't raining or anything like that, so it wasn't an imminent threat. And by taking that approach, we end up getting compliance a lot easier, rather than just charging and saying you're a violation, you're gonna fine.
I always like that approach better, because most people will respond to that better.
We have absolutely found that we've kind of moved away from the essentially, even if it's erosion, we're trying to violation instead of stopping right there. Hey, here's your brown tag, here's your official documentation, how are you gonna fix it? Found if you talk to them and be like, hey, we noticed this is kind of what we like to see. A lot of them are, you get a lot better compliance. A lot of them just don't know. They don't know what they're doing is wrong. Which is nice to see. Construction site runoff control is our 4th control measure. This kind of meat and potatoes of this program. We are hit here under 2 different types of regulations. So one is the MS4, where that's going to regulate 25% of these sites that are less than an acre. They say qualifying, really they're talking over 7,000 square feet. So between that and an acre. We are also an agent of DEQ, so we are also responsible for all the sites that are above an acre. We kind of manage this. So if a site is disturbing more than 7,000 square feet, let me take a step back. All sites need to have an erosion permit. The small ones, so 0 to 7,000, taken care of, not here. We just know about them and we visit them on occasion. 7,000 to an acre, we actually look at the erosion control plan and make sure that it makes sense. And we'll inspect all those sites. On 25%, we inspect 100 of them. Normally we do that at the beginning because that's when all the erosion controls are supposed to be in place. And it's kind of set up in the beginning that we'll visit, but that should take care of most of it. For the acre and above, those are the CN and C permits. For those, it's a little more robust plan. We'll get out there, do the pre-construction meeting. We'll actually do a couple of inspections on top of that. So like this year, there were 36 of those sites. We did 123 formal inspections, not to include inspectors that are always out. A question? All right. So well within this, we're pretty much a one-stop shop for these guys, and save them a lot of time without having to deal with DEQ. That all deals with construction. The site itself is being constructed. The next control measure, post-construction site runoff, is really dealing with the new impervious surfaces that are developed because of the construction. So the basic tenets of that is impervious surfaces increases the runoff. We want that to stay on site. Somehow, if it's going off site, we want to treat it and add no more volume than it did pre-construction. So for the entire purpose of our design manual is to be in compliance with that part of this control measure. So the design manual itself been in place since 2006 before the issuance of that first permit. And it follows using that the SWAT, the Stormwater Advisory Team, kind of as a regulatory body, ensures that we are in compliance with all the updates that come to those permits. Into our code right now, we have, all right, you're over 5,000 square feet within the city, you're 10,890 outside of the city limits, but within our MS4, you have to follow what's in the design manual. And that keeps us within, and we approve those plans. So they submit the plans to us, we approve them, and that keeps us in compliance with the permit. All right, and our last feature here, pollution prevention. So now all that stuff's in place. It's been constructed. We have all this infrastructure. We have all these facilities. Now we have to maintain them. The way this permit's written, there are 14 areas that everything from pesticides to like pollution prevention, litter control to pipe cleaning. There's an SOP that needs to be written, submitted in DEQ in 14 areas. As of this year, this mission this year, RVSS has SOP and we've actually had it for a while for all 14 areas, but all our co-implementers also have either adopted ours or tweaked it slightly for their jurisdictions. But everything is meeting or exceeding the minimum requirements. On top of that, so the big deliverable here is 50% of those catch basins need to be inspected and cleaned if needed within that 5-year period. We have over 2,600 catch basins or curb limits in our MS4. As of now, we've inspected 145% of them, and we've almost cleaned all of them. So obviously, a couple of those have been inspected more than once. There are definitely some problem children there, and they get cleaned every year. But well ahead of this throughout us and all of our members. We for all those facilities that go in, so all the swales, all the vaults that we have, if we own them, so the publicly owned, they get inspected and cleaned if needed every year. For private, some of them don't even know they have it. Every 3 years, we make sure we hit every one of those and explain to the owners like, hey, this thing is on your property. You have a requirement to maintain it, and kind of walk them through the steps of doing that to meet this control measure. And that's it. There's a program that continues to evolve as we try to make it more efficient and ensure that we're in compliance. Right now, though, we're looking good. We should be green across the board. You guys should not get any pokes in the chest for anything in this report. But any questions, if you have them, please.
I have a comment.
Yes, please.
Mr. Poster, I don't know how long you've been here, but I can't believe how good that presentation was. I was watching you. You weren't even reading notes. How could you do that? Good job.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Yeah, I can comment on that. Ben's been here since June, and he got up to speed with a pretty complicated set of problems and disconnects and things to have to accomplish. Really, really quickly.
If I was giving that kind of presentation, I'd be reading it off because of all the facts, figures, dates. It was amazing. You did a great job.
Thanks, sir.
We made the offer, I think, in February, and we had to wait a few months for it.
Well, we're waiting for it.
Thank you. And that's all I have.
When they told me that you had applied and we'd have to wait for you, and they said you were a Marine, I said, no problem. And so it's way cool. We appreciate you and appreciate that you can step up that fast.
Yeah,
That's what we need around here. So it's good.
I love it. This is really dream job for me. So,
I love the fact that you love it.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, next, O&M updates.
All right, aside from the collection system rotational closures, which are pretty routine, piggybacking on what Ben discussed, last month we flushed 3,269 feet of storm drain pipe out of the White City storm drain area, including 7 catch basins and video inspected 281 feet. Requests, I don't know if you guys kind of know what those are. Those are things that are outside the norm that we get called upon and asked to do. For example, we're going to go out for Carol and do some lateral washing in Gold Hill to validate that there's homes or the services are actually used based on billing or not billing them. So that'll be something we'll go and make a request footage. It takes us out of our normal daily routine, but can still be time suck at the same time. So special cleaning summary, our system, 46.5 equipment hours and 98.5 labor hours were used on special cleaning for a total of $7,653.43. Gold Hill, a whopping 1 equipment hour and 5 labor hours were used for a cost of $351.51. Treatment, White City Lagoons, we received 128,800 gallons of septage, 48,140 gallons of porta potty waste, and 23,650 gallons of bath soils and grease for a total revenue of $30,088.50. Pump stations, it's been really quiet except for we have these reoccurring power outage issues, and this happens since I've worked here. for whatever reason, Pacific Power has never been able to remedy it, so it's something we just kind of live with, but, we do have several sporadic power outages regularly in southwest Medford and in Shady Cove. It's just part of our daily life that we live with. There's,
Can those possibly spark any type of problems, because are they short enough in duration, or are they more than just a pain in the butt, is what I'm trying to say?
well, they are a pain in the butt, but do they cost us time
Yeah,
mainly. With the pump station upgrades that we conducted over the last several years, so we've eliminated any part failure or malfunction as a result of the power outages. So we typically would have capacitors blow up and a pump wouldn't start because the capacitor blew up because of the power outage. But we don't have those issues anymore. It's just basically a little bit of a harassment. You know, someone still has to get up in the middle of the night, go out to these pump stations, make sure that they don't go into a high water alarm, carry a generator around. Because it could be an hour before the power comes on, or it could be a day. And this is a
and
pretty,
Pacific Power doesn't have any.
no, and this is actually, it'll happen at Dunn Pump Station as well. It's pretty common, but we have a generator on site out there, so
Yeah.
it's not quite as much of a nuisance. But Shady Cove, it is a couple times a month easy out there.
In Central Point where I live, oftentimes the power will go off for 1 second, come back on. You gotta reset every one of your clocks in your entire house, about 4 times a month. Those kind of events bother you as much when they're just a brief off, brief on again?
Nope, we don't even, doesn't even phase us.
Doesn't phase you?
Nope.
Okay.
So-
The pump stations have capacity, I mean, you know, they can handle 4, 6, 8 hours of no power in most cases without any problems. So we've got that, but, you know, Shane's got the portable generators that if you are gonna have a prolonged outage, we can get crews out there to keep them running. So,
Yeah, and we run into the concern where if we have elevation issues with manholes, that are gonna be lower than the highest elevation, then we don't want those spilling over or backing up into a house.
Right.
So,
John's got a question.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, John, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Shane, I'm having a little trouble hearing you. What did you say Pacific Power is doing to deal with these interruptions? I know that in Southwest, it's, because I
Yeah.
live there, it's not impressive.
No,
We definitely have problems.
we've never got an explanation as to why it keeps happening. They're aware of it. I don't know what they're doing to prevent it, but it's something we've always dealt with, so I assume it is what it is, especially in Shady Cove.
I think the explanation is we don't feel like spending the money and no one that upsetting has complained yet.
Could be. I imagine,
That's probably the answer.
yeah, I imagine the
Yeah, it
citizens.
is bad down in Southwest. It's not just us, it's the whole neighborhood. It's not just RVSS that's suffering, it's the whole area.
Yeah, but there's no significant issues that we have to deal with as far as mechanical issues, so
Okay.
it's just more of an inconvenience than anything. And then vehicle equipment, you've probably all read or seen about the UAW strike. The strike will surely delay fleet vehicle assembly, which we just ordered 3 of those. They seem to be doing their strike in phases, so the second phase was the parts area. So far obtaining parts hasn't been an issue, but we'll be concerned if the strike lingers on for more months. But for right now, everything seems to be good. And everything still seems to be good with our vehicle procurement too. It doesn't appear that those assembly plants that have been affected as of yet, but if the parts people aren't working, then they're not getting the parts they need to assemble the vehicles, so it could delay those. And then no updates on delivery time, so that's good. No one's called me to say, hey, there's been a delay. But this did happen to us in 2019, the fall of 2019, the UAW went on strike. It delayed our chassis and then COVID hit, so it took us 1.5 years to get a completed vehicle. The last time this happened in conjunction with the pandemic too, so.
Yeah,
But so far, so good. We'll keep our fingers crossed, but we do have some vehicle recalls that are out there and there's no parts. so. But if there's not a safety issue, we can still drive the vehicles, but we're still waiting for the parts to come in, so that could prolong even safety recalls, so.
I can add on to that a little bit. Every year, the city of Central Point usually orders new police vehicles because it takes usually 6 months to acquire them, then to have them addressed to be from the straight Ford Explorer into the police version of a Ford Explorer. We've been told, because we're looking to procure vehicles for 2024, if you hadn't ordered them by the end of September of 2023, you won't see one in 2024. You won't see them until 2025, partially because of the current strike.
Yeah. And
Or
that's
now,
what
a year and a half out.
That's what we ran into with the chip shortage. That's why we had to, shuffle vehicle procurements around because I had to just try to get what I could get. And that was the same scenario. But as far as larger chassis, have that stuff has seemed to come around and we don't have that issue with the larger chassis. And now we've overcome that. We've overcome the chip issue and now we're regressing back to this
Parts issue.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll keep our fingers crossed, hopefully it won't last too much longer.
Yeah. The good news is you're flexible.
We're flexible. Yeah, we got a lot of tie straps.
Yeah,
And duct tape.
yeah. Thanks, Shane. Any other questions for Shane? Okay, Carl.
All right, most of what's in my report we've already addressed. I do want to give kind of a general update on what's happening with Gold Hill. We mentioned that the Board of Commissioners hasn't finalized the board order yet, but we're still moving forward. We got 3 proposals yesterday for the engineering for the design of the pump station and force main intertie connection. So we're going to review those over the next couple of weeks and come back next month with a recommendation, we hope. And this is one of those things, because it's an engineering contract, it's qualifications-based selection, so we don't have any price information. So we have to select the engineer and then we have to negotiate a contract. So we're in the very early stages of that. On the financing for that, Brenda and I have a meeting this afternoon with the USDA Rural Development Program and the other finance people, just kind of a status check of where we are. On the billing, Brenda's team and Carol have been getting all of the customer accounts loaded into our system. And so that's moving along. I think we're probably close to done by now.
We got the last few in this morning,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So those are all, we are doing,
We're doing some field checks, some
Yeah.
verification.
just to make sure,
That's good.
we've had a couple customers receive the letters already that went out last week. Got some address changes, and so we've made an initial contact with all the Gold Hill customers,
Mhm.
commercial as well as residential. And I don't know how many calls Carl's gotten,
Just one.
just that one,
Yeah.
so we're on track to be up, pretty much up and ready for November service, December billing, so we're way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Cool.
As far
So,
as.
we found a few things that, some of the multifamily units that we're billing differently from what our billing structure is, so we notified them. There's 2 that are somewhat significant. There's a 78 unit mobile home park that has been being billed as 1 unit.
All that revenue that Gold Hill
We sent them a letter and told them that that's going to change, and I haven't heard, I expect a frantic phone call coming back from that one, but I haven't yet. And then there was another one very similar, except for smaller. It was 19 units, and it had been billed as 2 units.
It's actually
21, yeah, it's actually 21.
Yeah.
Oh,
He called and said,
oh, he
it's
did.
21, not 19.
Oh, good.
So we changed it.
Good. So, yeah, that's a pretty significant change on those, and there's some other ones that are going to be, slight variations, but so far so good.
Yeah.
I have one question. When you start the billing process, do you also assume their debt from people who aren't current?
No. We were specific about that, anybody who's in arrears or whatever, that's still Gold Hill's obligation to try to collect that. And if they do collect it, then they're supposed to give that to us. And I have no idea, where they are with any of that. I mean, those two RV parks that I just mentioned, that's 10% of their accounts that they were under
Yeah,
billing.
I would
I mean,
imagine.
that's, you know,
That's a significant amount.
it's huge, yeah, and, you know, we found some others that, you know, that appears like they're connected and they weren't billing, so we're trying to clean some of that stuff up as well, so,
You're gonna find other hiccups, I'm quite sure,
yeah.
For sure.
but you'll take care of them.
Yeah.
So that's moving on, I think that's all I have for now on Golden Hill. We already did the franchise stuff and all that, so that's all looking good. And then the other thing I want to mention, this year's STAO conference is going to be in Seaside. It's on February, Friday the 9th, is when it starts, Friday morning. So any board members that would like to attend that, it is a very worthwhile conference. I would strongly encourage you to go to that. If you do want to go, you need to let Joe know soon because those hotel rooms fill up quick.
Sign me
And, yeah, and the way we've always done it is, it's, you know, it's no expense to you as a board member. I mean, it's all covered, you know, registration, hotel, transport, all that is covered. So really, it'd be you donating your time to go there. Like I said, it has always been a very worthwhile.
I've always learned stuff when I'm gone, always,
So,
And Fred will go as well?
probably, yeah.
Okay. Well.
How many day process does that involve? Is it one day, 2 day, 3 day?
3.
3
The
days?
conference, yeah,
Yeah,
it starts
Friday.
Friday morning and Sunday morning. So it's all day Friday, all day Saturday.
Yeah, so you usually
Nice
go
breakfast, all
Thursday.
that.
Yeah.
I'll do that this year. Gotta arrange a dog sitter.
And Sunday, it's just usually the keynote speaker and breakfast and
Yeah,
then just
and then
kind
you're
of
out
social
there.
thing.
Yeah.
You're out. So if you want to leave the day before, you're not really missing out on anything.
Yeah.
I'll do that also.
Then I'll go over.
You got a
On-call guy can take
Yeah. He's a 90-pound bulldog, but he loves people.
that.
Low water mark.
Check the minutes.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, we need to pay the bills, guys.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Did Roger second?
John
John.
did.
Okay, I can't.
That's okay.
Kate Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Tone,
Yes.
Mike Parsons.
Yes.
John Quinn.
yes.
Okay, we're done. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, John.
Welcome.
That's the way we're supposed to do it. That's the way we're supposed to do it. Less than an hour. Thanks, John. Oh,
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab them. I got